My wife threw her ring at me across a birthday table. Not tossed, not dropped, not a cute little, oops, clumsy me. She pitched it like she was trying out for the major leagues, and I was the unlucky catcher with a face. And no, that wasn't the end of my marriage. That was the opening scene. Because the ugly truth is, she'd thrown me out of her life months earlier. The ring was just the prop she used to make it official in front of an audience. 2 months before that birthday, I started noticing things. Her phone lived face down like it was ashamed of itself. She stopped leaving it in a room with me, the way you stop leaving your wallet on a park bench. And she started smiling at messages the way people smile when they're reading something that makes their stomach warm. Not funny meme warm. More like, I'm emotionally naked with someone who isn't you warm. At first, I tried to be reasonable. Maybe she was talking to her girlfriends. Maybe she found a book club. Maybe she'd joined a cult that worshipped skincare and overpriced candles. Then I saw it. A notification. Just a flash. 1 second. The kind of thing you catch with your peripheral vision. And then your brain does that quiet little click like a lock turning. Jason. Just a name. No hearts, no emojis, nothing suspicious, which of course made it suspicious. I didn't say anything. Not because I was scared. Because I was done doing emotional improvisation with someone who was clearly rehearsing her lines somewhere else. So I started collecting pieces. Quietly. Like a guy building a case file instead of a marriage. If she was going to turn me into the villain in her story, I wanted receipts for my own. I'm not proud of the way I became a detective in my own house. But also, I kind of am. I was good at it. I noticed patterns. She would run errands at the same time every Thursday. She started going to the gym in makeup. She suddenly cared about perfume again, which was funny because she hadn't cared about my existence for the past year. And the biggest one? She started saying the same phrase whenever I asked a normal married person question like, "Hey, are we okay?" She'd tilt her chin up like she was addressing a courtroom and say, "You don't control me." I never said I did. I didn't even want to. I barely wanted to control my own calendar. But she kept saying it, like it was her new religion, and every time she said it, she'd look at me like I was trying to put a leash on her. Meanwhile, I was just trying to keep the relationship from becoming a hostage situation. So when Marissa started acting like a stranger in our home, I didn't respond by getting louder. I got quieter. Because quiet is how you hear lies. The day of her sister's birthday, I woke up with that strange feeling in my stomach. That today matters feeling. Like you're about to take an exam you didn't study for, except the exam is your dignity. Her sister's name is Tina. 26. Loud laugh. Big energy. The type who posts a birthday week countdown like it's a national holiday. Tina had rented a private room at a restaurant. A big family thing. Parents, siblings, a cousin or two, plus a couple of Tina's friends. The kind of gathering where everyone pretends they're not judging your life choices while actively judging your life choices. Marissa was in a weirdly good mood that morning. That's what scared me most. She hummed while she got ready, like a Disney villain preparing to ruin someone's life with excellent posture. She walked out of the bathroom wrapped in confidence and expensive lotion, and she smiled at me. Not her normal, "I tolerate you" smile. A brighter one, a public one. The kind of smile you wear when you want witnesses. "You ready?" she asked, voice sweet. I looked up from my coffee. "For Tina's birthday? Yeah?" "For tonight," she corrected. That was the first time the hair on my neck stood up. "What's that supposed to mean?" I asked. She shrugged, tossing her hair like we were filming a shampoo commercial. "Nothing. Don't start." There it was. Don't start. Meaning, don't speak. Don't ask. Don't force me to treat you like a human in a marriage. I smiled back. Not sweet. Not angry. Just calm. "I'm not starting anything," I said. She watched me for a second like she didn't like the tone of that. Then she turned away and started putting on earrings. Earrings she hadn't worn in months. I'm not saying earrings equal cheating. I'm not insane, but if your spouse suddenly starts accessorizing like they're trying to be remembered by someone else, you pay attention. On the drive there, Marissa scrolled on her phone in the passenger seat, screen angled away from me like it was classified government material. I focused on the road, also focused on the fact that I was ridiculously calm. 2 months ago, that would have eaten me alive. Now, it felt like walking into a final boss fight with the strategy guide already printed. We pulled up to the restaurant. Warm lights, nice entrance, the kind of place where the host greets you like you're either important or about to spend too much money. Marissa got out first. Of course she did. She always had to enter rooms like she was the headline act. Inside, Tina squealed when she saw us. "Marissa!" she screamed, running over like her legs were powered by pure enthusiasm. They hugged. Tina hugged me too, quick and friendly. "Caleb, you made it," Tina said, like it was optional. I smiled. Couldn't miss the national holiday. She laughed. "Stop. Come on, everyone's here." We walked into the private room, and there they were. Marissa's parents, her mom already in full matriarch mode, scanning the room like she was looking for problems to solve and people to silently judge. Her dad, quiet, polite, already halfway checked out. A couple of relatives, and Tina's friends, including one woman I recognized immediately, Lila. Lila was Marissa's friend. Not the friend who brings wine and good advice type. More the friend who thinks drama is a personality trait type. Lila saw me and gave me a smile that didn't reach her eye. Marissa squeezed past me into the room like I was a coat rack, then instantly lit up. Hugs, cheek kisses, compliments. She was on. It hit me then. She wasn't in a good mood because she was happy. She was in a good mood because she was prepared. She moved through that room like a politician. Warm to everyone, perfect posture, laughing at the right times. And I felt like the guy standing behind the magician, watching them hide the coin. At one point, Marissa leaned in to hug Tina again and said loudly, so everyone could hear, "You deserve the best night ever." It sounded normal, sweet, but she looked over Tina's shoulder at me for half a second and her eyes said something else. We sat, drinks came, people laughed. Tina opened gifts. I played my role, smiled, made small talk, toasted Tina, and the whole time I watched Marissa. Not like a paranoid husband, like a man watching a performance he already knows the ending to. She kept glancing at her phone under the table. Quick looks, fast replies. Then she'd look up and smile again. At one point, Tina's friend asked Marissa, "Oh my God, your hair looks amazing. New stylist?" Marissa laughed. "Just took better care of it." Then she added casually, "I've been working on myself lately." Working on herself. Right. I took a sip of water and nodded along like we were discussing normal couple stuff and not the slow-motion collapse of my marriage. Her mother leaned toward me at some point. "So, Caleb," she said, like she was testing the firmness of fruit at a market. "Work still going well?" "Yes, ma'am," I said. "Same chaos, different week." She smiled politely, then looked right past me to Marissa like I was just a background character. Marissa was laughing with Lila, leaning close, whispering like teenagers. Lila covered her mouth and giggled. Marissa's eyes flicked to me again and she smirked. A smirk like, "Good, you're here. The props are in place." That's when I knew. Whatever she was planning, it required an audience. The night moved forward. Plates arrived. The room grew louder. And then, during a quiet moment between conversations, I leaned toward Marissa and spoke softly. Calm, normal, husband voice. "Hey," I said. "Can we talk when we get home?" It was a reasonable request. The kind married people make when something's been wrong for too long. Marissa didn't answer softly. She raised her voice just enough to turn heads. "Oh my God," she said, laughing like I'd told a joke. "You're doing this again?" The room shifted, like a radio station changing frequency. Her mom paused mid-bite. Tina looked up, confused. Lila's eyes lit up like someone had just announced free tickets. I kept my face neutral. Doing what? Marissa leaned back in her chair, arms crossing, performance ready. Trying to have a talk, she said, making air quotes with her voice. Because you can't just let people enjoy a birthday without making it about your feelings. My feelings? Interesting. I glanced around the table. A cousin stared at his plate like it had suddenly become fascinating. Tina's smile faded. Marissa cut her off with a laugh. No, it's fine. Caleb just loves control. I looked at her, really looked, and in that moment, I saw it clearly. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a bad night. This was her plan. To paint me as controlling, to push me into reacting, to make me the problem in front of everyone so she could walk out clean. I set my fork down slowly. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't blink fast. I just said calmly, I'm not trying to control anything. I'm asking for a conversation. Marissa smiled wider, eyes sharp. See? She said, looking around the table like she was presenting evidence. He always does this, always. Her mom made a tiny sound, not quite a sigh, not quite a, here we go, but close. Her dad stared into his drink like it might rescue him. Lila leaned in toward Tina's friend and whispered something. And Tina looked like she'd just realized her birthday cake might come with trauma. Marissa turned back to me, voice sweet again. The sweet she used when she wanted to cut deep without sounding loud. You don't get to tell me what we're doing, she said. Not anymore. Not anymore. There it was again, the script. I nodded once, slow. Okay, I said. And I meant it. Because I wasn't walking into her trap. I was walking her into mine. Marissa narrowed her eyes slightly, like she didn't like how easy that was. And the room stayed tense, waiting for my next move. That's when Tina tried to break it. Guys, she said, forcing a laugh, can we not do marriage therapy at my birthday dinner? Marissa waved a hand. Oh, relax, it's fine. I'm just being honest. Then she looked directly at me and said, louder now, with that perfect public voice. He thinks he gets to direct my life. I smiled, a small one. Marissa, I said, still calm, I've never directed your life. She scoffed. You direct everything. You're just subtle about it. I tilted my head. Name one thing. Her eyes flashed. That was the wrong question. The question that forces lies to either sharpen or collapse. She opened her mouth, and then her phone buzzed on the table. A quick vibration. She flipped it over instantly, but not before I saw it again. A name. Jason. And this time, I didn't just see it. I saw the way her thumb twitched like a reflex, the way her shoulders tightened, the way her face changed for half a second before she rebuilt the mask. She caught me noticing. I leaned back in my chair. Happy birthday, Tina, I said lightly, loud enough to reset the room. A couple people laughed awkwardly, grateful for oxygen. Marissa stared at me like she was recalculating, and somewhere inside me, the last piece clicked into place. Tonight wasn't just going to be a scene. Tonight was going to be a verdict. If there's one thing I've learned about family dinners, it's this. Nobody wants the truth. They want a story they can digest with mashed potatoes. And Marissa was serving hers hot. After I said, Happy birthday, Tina, like a guy trying to duct tape a sinking ship, the room exhaled. Barely. People went back to chewing like chewing could erase tension. It didn't. Marissa's smile stayed on her face, but it wasn't a smile. It was a courtroom grin. The kind that says, I'm about to introduce Exhibit A. She lifted her glass. Can we just focus on Tina? She said brightly. Tina forced a laugh. Yes, please. For once I'd like a birthday without... She glanced at me, then at Marissa. Without emotional property damage. A couple of people chuckled. Her mother, Elaine, leaned toward me again, voice low. You know, she said, Marissa's been under a lot of stress. Ah, here we go. The she's under stress defense. Elaine's eyes narrowed. You can be... intense. I almost laughed. Intense. Me. The man drinking water and saying complete sentences. Intense how? I asked. Elaine's lips pursed like she was searching her mental thesaurus for bad husband without sounding like a villain. You always want to talk things out, she said. I blinked. That's the crime? Elaine's expression said yes. In this family, apparently, communication was a felony. Across the table, Marissa's brother, Brad, smirked into his beer. Brad was the type of guy who wore brutal honesty like it was a medal. He leaned back and said, loud enough for everyone, "Man, Caleb, it's Tina's birthday. You couldn't just chill for one night?" There it was, mini betrayal, gift-wrapped. I looked at him. "Brad," I asked her one sentence, quietly. Brad shrugged. "You asked," she answered. "Now let it go." Tina's dad, Frank, cleared his throat, the universal signal for I refuse to participate, but I'll also do nothing to stop it. Tina looked down at her plate, then back up, caught between loyalty and sanity, and Lila, sweet, poisonous Lila, leaned forward like she was watching a live show. "You know," she said, "some men just don't realize how controlling they sound." I turned my head slowly toward her. Lila's eyes were bright, excited, hungry. "Interesting," I said. "Can you tell me what I said that was controlling?" Lila smiled wider. "The whole, we need to talk thing. It's like you're summoning her to court." I nodded thoughtfully. "Okay. And if she says, we need to talk, is that also controlling?" Lila's smile froze for half a second. Then she laughed. "That's different." Of course it was. Marissa watched the exchange like a queen watching two peasants fight over crumbs. Then she leaned in, voice soft and syrupy. "You're doing it again," she said. "Doing what?" I asked. "Making everything into a debate," she said, shaking her head like I was exhausting. "You always need to win." I almost applauded, because that was the trick, the manipulation. I took a slow sip of water, because apparently I was the only person in the room not drinking to survive this. "I don't need to win," I said. "I need clarity." "Oh my God," Marissa laughed, loud enough to pull attention again. "Hear that? Clarity." She looked around the table like she was sharing a joke with the class. "Caleb doesn't want love," she said. "He wants a spreadsheet." A few people laughed, nervous, polite laughter. The kind you do when you don't want to be the next target. I set my glass down carefully. "Marissa," I said, calm as ever, "I'm not asking for a spreadsheet. I'm asking why my wife treats me like a stranger." And there it was. Silence. Because when you stop speaking in vague accusations and say something human, it makes people uncomfortable. Marissa's smile thinned. "Because you act like a stranger," she snapped, then recovered instantly, eyes widening as if she hadn't snapped. "You don't listen. You don't see me." Brad muttered, "Here we go." Elaine sighed like this was my fault. I nodded once. "Okay, then tell me what you need." Marissa leaned back, lips curling. "I need you to stop acting like you own me," she said. She tilted her head. "You do. You always have. You just hide it under that calm thing you do." I smiled slightly. "You mean basic emotional control?" Her eyes flashed. Lila snickered. And Tina finally set her fork down with a clink. "Marissa," Tina said carefully, "can you not do this tonight?" Marissa turned to her sister with a sugary smile. "I'm not doing anything. Caleb is." Tina looked at me, apologetic, like she was stuck in a storm and didn't know where to stand. I gave her a small nod. "It's okay. This isn't your mess." But Marissa saw that nod, and something in her tightened. She hated that I wasn't drowning. She wanted me to flail. She wanted me to beg. So I stayed calm, and that made her even more angry. Marissa's phone buzzed again. She grabbed it too fast, like a reflex, like a trained response. Elaine noticed and frowned. "Who's texting you?" Marissa's face didn't even twitch. "Work. At 9 at night, during Tina's birthday dinner, in a private room." "Sure." "Is it Jason?" I asked casually, like I was asking if she wanted dessert. The air changed. Not in a dramatic movie way, In a blood leaves the face way. Marissa froze for a fraction of a second, and that fraction told me everything. Then she laughed loudly. "Jason?" she repeated like the idea was hilarious. "What, is that your new hobby? Making up men in your head?" Elaine's eyes widened. Brad sat up a little straighter. Lila's smile flickered. Tina's mouth parted. "Wait," Marissa waved her hand. "He's being paranoid. Again." I nodded slowly. "If I'm paranoid, show me." "Show you what?" she snapped. "Your phone," I said. Elaine sucked in a breath like I'd just asked Marissa to strip naked at the table. Brad scoffed. "Oh, come on, man." Marissa's eyes went cold. "You want to check my phone?" she said, loud enough for everyone. "In front of my family?" I tilted my head. "You're the one who made it public." Marissa pointed at me, smiling like she was about to present the final punchline. "See?" she said. "This is what I mean. He thinks he has a right." I kept my voice even. "If there's nothing there, it's 2 seconds." Marissa leaned in, voice low, but sharp enough to cut. "You don't get access to me anymore," she said. "Not like that. Not like that." The phrasing was interesting. Not no. Not how dare you. Not, this is insane. Just, you don't get access anymore. Like a subscription that expired. Brad leaned forward, eager to be the hero of his own little moment. "Caleb," he said, "you're embarrassing her." I looked at him. "Brad, with respect, I think she's doing fine on her own." A couple people snorted into their drinks. Small win. Marissa's cheeks reddened. Oh, she did not like that. Elaine's voice went soft but deadly. "Caleb, you should apologize." I laughed once, not loud, just a single breath. "For what? For asking my wife who's texting her all night while she publicly calls me controlling?" Elaine's face hardened. "You always have to be right." I nodded. "No, I just finally refused to be wrong on purpose." That landed. Tina's eyes widened slightly, like she hadn't seen that version of me before. Marissa's eyes narrowed. This was the moment she changed tactics. She stopped trying to paint me as paranoid. She went for humiliation. She stood up slightly, not fully, just enough to command the table, and lifted her glass like she was about to toast. "Actually," she said, smiling sweetly, "since we're being honest." Marissa looked around the table, voice warm, like she was telling a funny story. "Caleb is a good guy," she said. "He really is. Safe. Reliable." Lila's eyes sparkled like Christmas lights powered by cruelty. Brad grinned. Elaine pressed her lips together but didn't stop it. Tina looked horrified. "Marissa!" Marissa held up a hand. No, let me finish." She turned to me, eyes bright. "He's not exciting," she said, drawing the word out. "He's comfortable. Like a couch." More laughter. Marissa tilted her head. "And the funniest part?" she said. "He still thinks he gets to tell me what to do." I stared at her for a long second. Then I smiled. Not because it was funny, because I saw the mechanism. This was her way out. She humiliates me publicly, makes me react, then she walks away as the brave woman who escaped a controlling marriage. And I realized something else too. She didn't just want to leave, she wanted to leave winning. So I gave her nothing. I didn't insult her, I didn't yell, I just looked at her, calm as a judge. "Are you done?" I asked. The table went quiet again. Marissa blinked, caught off guard. She'd expected tears or anger. Instead, she got a simple question. "Excuse me?" she said. "Are you done performing?" I asked, still calm. "Or do you have more jokes prepared?" Lila's smile collapsed into a tight line. Brad shifted uncomfortably. Elaine's eyes widened, offended, not at Marissa's cruelty, but at my refusal to take it. Marissa's face tightened. "Wow," she said. "Look at you. So calm. So superior." I nodded. "I'm calm because I've had 2 months to get used to the idea that my wife isn't my wife anymore." Tina's hand flew to her mouth. Elaine's head snapped toward Marissa. "What is he talking about?" Marissa's expression didn't break. Her left hand, the ring hand, twisted slightly once, like a nervous tick. And then she laughed again, too loud, too sharp. 2 months? She said. Oh my God, this is insane. I shrugged. Maybe. Then I leaned forward a little, just enough to make her listen. Or maybe, I said, you shouldn't keep the phone face down like it's hiding a body. A couple people choked on their drinks. Marissa's eyes went hard. She set her glass down slowly. Then she looked at me and said, with that sweet voice that always meant blood, "You know what your problem is, Caleb?" I raised my eyebrows. Besides attending this dinner? Marissa ignored the joke. Your problem is you think you deserve access to me just because you're married to me. I nodded slowly. That's literally part of marriage, yes? She leaned in, voice dropping, but still loud enough that everyone could hear the edges. No, she said, you deserve what you've earned. I held her gaze. And what have I earned? Marissa smiled, a cruel, clean smile. You've earned being lonely, she said. And then she straightened, and her hand moved to her ring. Tina whispered, Marissa, don't. Marissa didn't even look at her. Elaine's eyes widened. Brad's grin returned. Lila leaned forward like she was about to see fireworks. Marissa's fingers tightened around the ring. And for the first time all night, the room went completely silent. Marissa slid the ring off slowly, not in anger, like a planned gesture. She looked at me and said clearly, You're not my owner. You're not my husband. You're nobody. Then she threw it. It hit my shoulder, bounced, and rolled across the tile. That sound filled the room. Nobody spoke. Elaine froze. Brad smirked. Lila whispered, Finally. I pushed my chair back and stood, walked around the table, bent down, picked up the ring, held it for a second, then looked at her. Thank you, I said. Marissa blinked. What? Thank you, I repeated. Now it's clear. Her smile twitched. Clear? That this wasn't a marriage, I said. It was a performance. She snapped, Don't do that. Don't act calm like you're above this. I gave a short laugh. You just threw your wedding ring at me at your sister's birthday dinner. Do you realize how insane that sounds? Marissa stepped forward, voice sharp. This is your fault. My fault? I said. Did I wind up your arm? Brad started. All right, man. I turned slightly. Brad, sit down. This isn't your marriage. He froze, then sat. Elaine didn't speak. Marissa's confidence cracked because she expected tears, begging, noise. Instead, she got control. She whispered tense. You think you can just walk away? Yes, I said. Simple. Her eyes widened. No, she said quickly, louder. No, you don't get to do that. Not like this. She wanted me broken. She wanted the room to watch me beg, and I wasn't giving her that. I'm leaving, I said. Marissa's voice jumped, panicked now. You can't just leave me here. I nodded. I can. And for the first time all night, she looked afraid. Marissa stared at me like I'd broken the rules. You can't just leave, she said. I shrugged. Watch me. Elaine finally found her voice. Caleb, be reasonable. I looked at her. Reasonable was me asking for a conversation at home. Remember? Marissa, why did you do that? She whispered. Marissa snapped without thinking. Because I'm done pretending. Then she caught herself. Too late. Lila tried to save it, soft and fake. She just wants freedom. I nodded slowly. Freedom, right. I turned back to Marissa. You didn't throw the ring because you're free. You threw it because you thought I'd crawl after it. Brad scoffed. Dude, she's ending it. Move on. I looked at him. Brad, you enjoy front row seats too much. He shut up. Marissa stepped closer, voice low, angry. You think you're some victim? I smiled once. No, that's why you're panicking. Her eyes flashed. She was losing control. Her voice rose sharp. You don't get to make me look bad in front of my family. I leaned in slightly. This was your stage. I'm just not performing. Marissa's breath hitched. She looked around, searching for support. Lila avoided eye contact. Brad looked annoyed. Tina looked disgusted. And Marissa realized the applause wasn't coming. She swallowed, then tried the old move. Softer voice. Caleb, you're misunderstanding everything. I nodded. No. I took one step back. She reached out fast. Don't do this. I glanced at her hand on my sleeve. Don't touch me like you still own the role. Her hand dropped. The room was dead quiet. I picked up my jacket. Marissa's voice cracked, louder now. So you're just walking out? After everything? I looked at her. Yes. She hissed, desperate. Where are you even going? I paused, turned slightly, and said calmly, like I was mentioning the weather, somewhere you can't lie to my face anymore. Her eyes burned. You're pathetic, she spat. I smiled. That insult worked better before Jason. The name hit the table like a gunshot. Marissa went pale. What did you say? She whispered. I held her gaze. Jason. Her mask collapsed for half a second. Elaine's voice came out sharp. Marissa, who is Jason? Marissa's mouth opened. Nothing came out. She looked at Lila. Lila stared at her drink. Tina shook her head slowly, horrified. Oh my God. Marissa found her voice too fast. It's nothing. It's... I cut in, calm. You can call me paranoid, but you threw the ring, not me. Marissa's eyes went wet. Not from love, from exposure. She whispered, shaking. You did this on purpose. I nodded. I stayed calm on purpose. I looked around the table one last time. Then I placed the ring on the table, right in front of her, like evidence. And I said quietly, keep it. You like throwing things away. Well, or it might be useful to you and Jason. Marissa's breath broke. Caleb, please. And I walked out. Behind me I heard Tina whisper, Marissa, what have you done? And Marissa didn't answer, because for the first time, she didn't have a script. That night, I didn't go home. I didn't drive around like some tragic movie character either. No rainy windshield monologue, no sad playlist, no heroic suffering. I just ended up in a cheap hotel room with a stiff pillow, staring at the ceiling like it might explain how a birthday dinner turned into the public execution of my marriage. It was quiet, too quiet. And for the first time in months, I realized something uncomfortable. The silence felt better than being around her. At 2:13 a.m., my phone lit up. Marissa, you're seriously doing this? 10 minutes later, another one. Marissa, you embarrassed me. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I shouldn't have done that. Just, you embarrassed me. As if I was the one who launched a wedding ring across a restaurant like a grenade. As if I stood up and announced her private life to the room. No. Apparently, my crime was refusing to collapse properly. Another buzz. Marissa, you took it the wrong way. I actually let out a short laugh, alone in the dark. The wrong way. How exactly do you take a ring to the shoulder the right way? Like a romantic gesture? Like a proposal? Then came the classic midnight magic trick. The one where reality is supposed to disappear if she types fast enough. Marissa, Jason is nothing. You're imagining things. Gaslighting. At 2 a.m., with a side of denial. The funniest part was, she almost sounded offended. Like the real betrayal was me noticing. I didn't answer right away. I just lay there, phone glowing in my hand, thinking about the dinner. About Lila whispering, finally. About Brad's stupid smirk. About Elaine sitting there like her daughter was giving a TED talk instead of humiliating her husband. And about Marissa's face, not angry, not sad, just pleased. She'd been pleased, because she thought she was winning. Eventually I typed back, you called me safe, convenient, like furniture. You threw your ring at me like I was nothing. Don't tell me I imagined it. A few minutes passed. Then her reply came softer, like she'd switched masks again. I was emotional. Emotional. Sure. because nothing screams emotion like removing a ring slowly, waiting for silence and throwing it in front of an audience. That wasn't emotion. That was choreography. Another message followed, careful and rehearsed. "Marissa, please come home. We can talk." Now she wanted to talk. After months of cold distance, after "you don't control me," after humiliating me like it was entertainment. Now she wanted the private conversation. Funny how badly people want privacy once the spotlight turns on them. I replied, "You didn't want to talk when I asked. You wanted a show. Now you have to live with the consequences." No immediate response, and I could almost picture her pacing somewhere, furious that I wasn't behaving correctly. Then, finally, "Caleb, please. No accusation, no performance, just panic." Because that's what this was really about. Not love, not regret, control. She threw the ring because she thought I'd chase it. She thought I'd fall apart in front of everyone, proving one last time that she could press a button and I'd break. And instead, I stood up like a man who'd already mourned something weeks ago. At 3:40 a.m., one last message appeared. Shorter, quieter. "Marissa." I didn't mean to end it. I stared at that line for a long time. Then I exhaled, slow, and I realized the strangest truth of all. She didn't end it when she threw the ring. She ended it months ago. The ring was just the final sound it made when it hit the floor. I typed back, "You didn't end it tonight. You ended it when you stopped being my wife in the same room. Tonight was just the moment you made it public. No more pretending, no more performing, and for the first time in a long time, I slept. Not because it didn't hurt, because it was finally honest." 2 months later, it was official. I filed for divorce. Not out of revenge, not out of drama, just paperwork catching up with reality. Funny how quiet a marriage looks when it's reduced to signatures and court dates. No speeches, no rings rolling across tile floors, just black ink and the simple recognition that something ended a long time ago. Marissa didn't fight it the way I thought she would. She tried briefly to play the wounded role. A few sad texts, a couple of "you're really doing this" messages, but even that felt half-hearted, because she already had somewhere else to land. By the 3rd month, I heard it through the same grapevine family dinners are built on. She was with Jason, posting pictures like it was some fresh beginning instead of the continuation of something she'd been hiding while still wearing my ring. And honestly, I don't care. Let her live inside the story she was so desperate to perform. What mattered to me was something simpler. That night at Tina's birthday, she wanted an audience watching me crumble. She wanted the final image to be me on the floor, grabbing for the ring like a man grabbing for dignity. Instead, I stood up. I picked it up like evidence, and I walked out like a man who finally understood his worth. Looking back now, I realized that dinner wasn't the moment she humiliated me. It was the moment I stopped allowing it. She threw the ring to end the marriage on her terms. But I ended something bigger that night. The version of myself that would have stayed. And every time I think about how close I was to spending years longer in a life like that, I feel nothing but relief.